Coming up next on Making Moves, we'll see how a new partnership between the JTA and a local youth foundation is hoping to help people eat healthier. We'll head to Nassau County to see how they are dealing with biking and pedestrian issues. A new high-speed train is now only months away from its Florida launch date. And we'll continue our countdown to our milestone 100th episode with a look at some amazing life-saving exploits. I'm Donna Deegan. These stories and more right now on Making Moves. Hello and welcome to another episode of Making Moves, North Florida's premier source for transportation news and information. I'm Donna Deegan. Coming up in today's show, we are in Nassau County to hear about their biking and pedestrian plans. We continue our countdown to our 100th episode with a look back at how some JTA employees have saved lives while on the job. But first, we head to the Rosa Parks Transit Station for a new program that's aimed at helping people eat healthier. JTA, in partnership with the I'm a Star Foundation, hosted a farmers market at the authority's busiest bus hub. To tell us why, here's Making Moves Chief Correspondent Bill Milnes.
It is easy to take for granted that a grocery store or supermarket is just down the street and will have all the fresh produce we would want. But for too many people here in Jacksonville, that is not the case. Thousands live in what are called food deserts, areas too far away from a full-size grocer or market, so they tend to eat what they can find, often at a convenience store and almost assuredly not very healthy.
Did you know that not having access to healthy foods, not just not access to food, right? You can get to the mini mart, you can get a ring ding or a ho ho, right? You can get a cinnamon bun, right? You can get powdered donuts. But access to healthy foods that is high in nutritional value, low in trans fats, low in calories, that actually decreases your risk of having significant chronic diseases.
So a unique partnership between the JTA and the I'm a Star Foundation is aiming to give those people in need healthier food options.
The students are the ones that actually make up the programs. They're the ones that decided that an anti-obesity platform was something that they wanted to tackle here in Jacksonville, and they had done pop-up markets at other locations around the city in food deserts, and so I knew that they could do it, and I think we have a great partnership.
We see a problem, we address the problem, and we build a plan to execute the problem we set out for.
The JTA's Alicia Batson coordinated the effort for the authority. With CEO approval in hand, she and the kids from I'm a Star launched a farmers market at the Rosa Parks Transit Station, a place where thousands pass through every day, many of whom live in those food deserts. Now they could purchase fresh fruits and vegetables at a convenient location and at a reasonable price.
There is a cost, but the benefits are priceless.
During the first 2 weeks of the market, customers lined up to buy all the produce they could carry and said they were thrilled with the opportunity to eat healthier. But the customers were not the only ones benefiting from this market. The students from I'm a Star are also reaping the rewards.
Because we have an organization partnering with young people to show others what an intergenerational idea and how through intergenerational methods we can impact change.
As to why JTA got involved, CEO Nat Ford says the authority is more community conscious than ever and sees its role here as more than just being a transit provider.
Working with our community and identifying that our vision is more than just transportation and providing transportation to and from. It's what transportation means for this community, be it helping them get to healthy food, helping them get to their doctor, helping them get to a job, helping them get an education.
At the Rosa Parks Station downtown, Bill Milnes, JTA, Making Moves.
The farmers market is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Friday at the Rosa Parks Transit Station. Cash, credit, and EBT cards are accepted. It's no secret that biking and walking in Jacksonville can be dangerous. The statistics over the past decade validate the danger, putting Jacksonville as one of the worst in the country. In nearby Amelia Island, the biking and pedestrian experience is quite different, but that hasn't stopped the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization from looking at ways to keep both the two-wheel and two-leg experience a fun and healthy one. As part of its ongoing survey and data collection, the TPO recently held a public meeting on the subject in Fernandina Beach. The group wanted to hear ideas from the public on how they think their neighborhoods can best keep those pursuits safe and user-friendly.
An active bicyclist. I bicycle on Amelia Island regularly, so I'm familiar with a lot of what I'm seeing tonight, but it seems like a lot of it's coming to fruition, so I'm very pleased with that.
We have a nice 11-mile trail that goes from the south end to about the middle of the island, 10-foot wide off-road. We'd like to be able to get a safe connection for about another 11 miles, which will get us to the city.
The crashes that are happening up here in Amelia Island are significantly different than the crashes we saw down in the beaches, downtown area, and even St. Augustine when we did that. But this is largely people want to walk and ride around this beautiful community. So how can we do things that make it more comfortable for them to walk and ride around?
Additional project material is available on the North Florida TPO website. Construction of the Brightline rail line, the high-speed passenger train from all aboard Florida that will run from Miami to Orlando, continues with an expected launch next year. The sleek, multicolored Brightline trains will offer frequent, on-time departures from Miami to Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach starting in 2017. With a 3-hour traffic-free trip connecting Miami and Orlando scheduled to begin soon after. The new Brightline trains will run approximately 125 miles per hour. That service is expected to include Wi-Fi, power outlets, leather seats, multiple seating arrangements, food and beverage service, retail, and a quiet car. Florida East Coast Industries has previously told Making Moves that bringing Brightline trains to Jacksonville is part of its future plans, so we'll look forward to that. And when we come back, we'll take a look back at some amazing life-saving feats by JTA employees as we continue our countdown to our 100th episode.
We approached the bus stop right there by the railroad tracks, which he usually gets off at, and when we got to the tracks, we had seen a car on the tracks. Thinking, you know, oh my God, there was a car on the track. It's like that would be something you wouldn't see. But what was weird is we saw that there was somebody in there moving, so there was a woman in there.
Welcome back to Making Moves. As we announced on our last show, Making Moves is approaching a significant milestone, our 100th episode. As part of our countdown to 100, we are digging into the archives to find the most impactful stories we've produced over the past 8+ seasons. What we found is that JTA bus operators and maintenance workers are not only great at their jobs, when the need arises, they're also life-saving heroes.
Susan Pieri has 9 years' experience driving for the JTA.
I mean, you got good things that happen and bad. You learn a lot, you know, about life being on these buses, I think.
She thought she'd seen it all, until the morning her route took Susan and one passenger to a stop at the railroad tracks near Baptist Hospital.
We approached the bus stop right there by the railroad tracks, which he usually gets off at, and when we got to the tracks, we had seen a car on the tracks. Thinking, you know, oh my God, there was a car on the track. It's like that would be something you wouldn't see, you know, that early in the morning. I mean, but what was weird is we saw that there was somebody in there moving, so there was a woman in there.
Susan left the bus and ran to the car, screaming at the driver to get out because potential danger was suddenly very real and bearing down on them all.
Just kept yelling, get out of the car, because within just seconds from that we saw the train approaching. We didn't know, with the train coming, if it was going to hit her. So it was kind of scary, and then we got her to come over to us, and she got out of the car. But the train was still coming.
Buddy Duthard is a 24-year veteran. He started his bus route that morning at the Rosa Park station with a half-dozen passengers and wound up at the same spot. He saw Susan and her bus at the side of the road, then the car on the tracks. He pulled over to help.
There was really nothing we could do, She had the passengers out, but the car was still on the tracks and the train was coming.
Buddy heard the train coming and he took off. He ran down the tracks in the direction that I'm walking, headed straight for an oncoming train.
Now I thought, I just got to do something. I can't just stand here and watch him run over the car. So I got to do something. I got to try. I did just try. I ran down the tracks as far as I could to try and give him some stopping room. And I didn't have a flashlight with me, so all I could think of was my cell phone. So I held my cell phone up and waved it at him. He came at me, he wasn't stopping, and I figured he wasn't going to see me. But right when he got right up on me, he looked down and saw me, and I could hear him putting his brake. He reached down and put his brakes on right as he saw, right as he got right to me. And it took him a while to come to a stop, and it came to a stop just right before he got to the car.
It was like our bus schedule was perfect for that lady at that time. You know what I'm saying? If we wouldn't have been there, because it was so early in the morning, there was no cars. We were the only one out on the road here. So it wasn't for us pulling up to the times we did.
We're usually the only people out there, so we have to watch out for each other.
Dana Humphrey is a veteran bus driver.
It's about 25 years with the city of Jacksonville.
She loves her job and strives to be more than just a person to take passengers from here to there.
A lot of times we are the only ones that they see during the day, and a lot of times they want to talk, and most of all I like them to make them feel good. I'm always paying attention to my passengers, scanning, looking in my mirrors, and hoping that I can be some type of help to all of them, really.
In this line of work, you see a lot of things, meet a lot of people. But nothing prepared Dana for what happened one spring day at the end of what had been a routine shift. Earlier on her route, Dana had noticed a woman who wasn't feeling well when she first boarded the bus, but even that wasn't too unusual.
A lot of times they're overheated, lots of them are getting off work.
It wasn't until later another rider told him that woman had collapsed. She didn't appear to be breathing, and her fingers clasped around her neck were turning blue.
Oh, it blew me away. I knew time wasn't on my side. I knew time wasn't on her side. And I just started running, just frantically running.
Dana realized she was just around the corner from Fire Station 31. She knew every second counted and told the paramedics there one of her passengers needed help with no time to spare.
Oh my God, this lady's dead. You could say what you will do in a situation, but it doesn't work that way.
Paramedic Eric Reddish was the first person Dana saw.
And she said, I need help. I got somebody on my bus and they're not in very good shape. And we found a young lady who was maybe in her 30s that was unconscious, unresponsive, and not really breathing on the floor of the bus.
The passenger had suffered a heart attack and had indeed stopped breathing. But thanks to Dana's quick actions, paramedics were able to revive her, get her to the hospital, and now she is alive today. Weeks later, Dana returned to Fire Station 31 to thank the firefighters there for their help. The guys at the station say Dana deserves thanks as well.
I mean, she probably cut off several minutes by running up to the station, even with her phone in her hand, versus dispatching us through the 911 system.
I am so happy that I was the operator.
Meet William Guyton.
What's up, man?
Most people call him Pete.
Let's take care of that one.
He's one of JTA's bus stop crew members.
Okay, are we ready to go to the next one?
Every day, he and his team check on the thousands of bus stops throughout the city. They clean them.
We have to wipe the shelters down.
Clear the grass.
Have to cut a little bit.
And save lives.
So you never know what you can get into out here.
That's right. They save lives.
It was nobody but God that sent him that way down 12th Street to help me.
And Pete said the same thing.
And it just wasn't my plan to go down that street.
Early Wednesday morning, Chrissy Craig was riding her bike into work. She saw 2 cars traveling quickly in her direction.
They surprised me because they skid right in front of my bicycle, and so it made me have to stop.
I seen the 2 cars in the street, but by it being spring break, I thought maybe some parents was exchanging some kids, to watch or whatever while they go to work.
A couple of guys jumped out with tasers. I thought they were guns at the time when I first saw them, but they weren't guns. They began to say, "Give me your stuff, give me what you got." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What in the world?" And it's like 6:45 in the morning. Who was out this time of morning?
Luckily for Craig, Pete was checking on a bus stop close by.
I seen him and they saw him as well. And when they saw his truck, they went back to their car. So that was my chance to escape.
She got away from him and just started banging against the window. And, it started me a little bit, but like I say, I pulled over, but I didn't get out because I didn't know what was going on.
Pete was concerned that it was a trick. He thought they were working together to rob him. So he tried to pull off, but didn't get very far.
And I jumped to his car on his window and was beating on his window. Said, "Hey, let me in. These guys trying to rob me, they're trying to rob me." And he proceeded to pull off.
I stopped right there. And that's when she jumped in front of the truck. She got in front of the truck like this. And she wasn't gonna move.
And I said, "I'm gonna hold on to this window. You gonna drag me with you today, I'm gonna jump on your truck."
So when I knew that she wasn't gonna move, I knew it was serious.
He acted fast, got her in the truck, and took her to work. When they arrived, her manager said she was the second employee that was attacked that morning.
My whole life flashed in front of my eyes, and the only thing I was thinking about was my son, my kids, my grandkids, my wife, and what would they do without me?
Fortunately for them, they survived this dramatic ordeal unharmed. In Northwest Jacksonville, Carell Danzy, JTA Making Moves.
Joining me now are the reporters who wrote those stories, Terry Casey, Stacey Ellison, and Carell Danzy. And really, it is remarkable when you see these stories again and realize this really is the definition of above and beyond. And I'll start with you, Terry. That was just so crazy watching that bus driver jump out of her car and go to this woman on the tracks. I don't want to sound critical of, because most people would do heroic things if they were called to do them, but you get in your habit of you're driving your route every day, you're doing your thing, you just, you do what you do. What in the world? It was pitch black outside, and this woman decides, okay, it's a great idea for me to park this bus and run out, and that's amazing that she did that.
How she even saw the car
right.
was, to me, still unbelievable.
Because I think when you see the story, you don't realize necessarily when you're watching it, even though they may have talked a little bit about it, that it was so dark outside. I mean, literally no lights.
It was the darkness before dawn, and there were no other vehicles basically on the road except this bus. So if she hadn't happened to notice something strange on the railroad tracks and looked and saw a car on the railroad tracks, and further seeing movement in the car from the seat, her driver's seat in the bus, and then hearing a train, it would have been all over for the woman in the car.
Well, and then the other thing that was just so shocking to me was that this gentleman was able to wave down the train in enough time to get the train to stop. That's a movie right there.
Yeah, it is. And the guy, I remember he told me, and I think we used it in the piece, that he says there was nothing we could do when he pulled up and saw her empty bus, because number one, the reason he stopped was because when he looked at her bus, he saw it was empty. And his first thought was, uh-oh, she's in trouble.
Okay.
There's something wrong.
Gotcha.
So he pulled in behind her right away, her bus. Then he looked across the railroad tracks, saw her, and by then the woman had come out of the car. So they were free of the car and got her out. But the train was coming.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't stopping. So the guy said, well, there's nothing I can do. And then he had a thought. He just started running toward that train. He didn't have his flashlight with him, so he said, wait a minute, I can use my cell phone and hope that he has enough stopping room. It was a matter of feet.
Well, you know what's so cool is these are just a handful of the stories that are an example of what these drivers really face a lot of times. And I know, gosh, Stacy, watching your story, with the woman that had that heart attack on the bus, I mean, she could have very easily dialed 911. She could have just, tried to maneuver the bus to where she could get to, but she knew it would take a long time.
Yes.
So she parks the bus and she races over to the fire station. Wow.
Which she knew was very nearby. And you know what this story to me illustrated, and all of them really, that this is much more than a job for these bus drivers. It's not just about picking people up and dropping them off. They're really emotionally invested with many of the people who ride their buses. They take the same route, so they see the same faces in and out. And the person who alerted Dana to the problem was one of her regular riders. Dana, hey, we've got a problem. Someone is back. She had fallen a bit under the seat. So it wasn't as though you would even really see her if you were just doing a visual sweep of the bus. She's very emotionally invested in the well-being. In the story she says, I like to check on people, see how their days are going and that kind of thing. And so when she saw one of her passengers in distress, her immediate reaction is, how can I the most quickly and most effective way get help for this person? Of course, she knows the area very well, and she knew calling 911 or pulling over, those things are going to take too much time. I'm getting out and running. And that's what she did, and the paramedics say that is truly what saved that woman's life. Interestingly enough, within the same year, or maybe a little bit longer than a year, Dana had another situation on the bus.
Oh my gosh.
Where her action saved a passenger's life.
They really are concerned about the people on their buses, because it would have been very easy to, and even for the passengers, to go on about your day and, somebody's laying down, okay, well, I'm sure that happens on the bus.
Right.
But everybody was on their game, and then, of course, the gentleman from the fire department, it all just worked out beautifully, didn't it?
It really did, and, God bless those people for sure. Glad they're okay.
Yes, absolutely. And Carell, your story too, goodness, this poor woman, I'm seeing this woman clinging to the windshield of this car going, nope, not going anywhere.
You're not leaving me here.
Is that called determination?
Yes. Exactly. She said she just saw an opportunity to get away from she just couldn't believe that the faces of these they were so young. She said they looked like babies were attacking me.
And 6:45 in the morning.
In the morning, and pitch black. No one else is out there. Who else is out there? William Guyton. He said, I have a routine. Operators have a routine. They go on their routes. They do the same things all the time. And William Guyton, he has his routine, does the same thing, and he just switched it up. Just switched it up one day, and happened to be right there working on a bus stop, just making sure everything was clean, saw her, and he said, oh, that doesn't look right, and then here she comes running. Perfect timing.
But you can see why in a scenario like that, you're a guy that's out there, you know what's going on in the world, right? And your first thought is for your family, and you're thinking, this woman's probably trying to rob me, working with these guys that try to rob me. I'm initially not gonna stop. And I loved hearing his thought process. I'm thinking, what will happen to my family if I don't come home? What will happen to my kids? And that is a real thing that goes through these people, has to go through their heads every single day.
Every day. And when he saw her face, when he saw the distress, the sound in her voice, he said, no, I just have to help her. And he grabbed her bike, threw it in the truck, took her, put her in the vehicle. And as they were heading to her job, which was, it had to be like a block away on the same street, the assailants they tried to cut him off. And for some reason, they just backed off. And he said he had on his lights, and so maybe they were frightened by his lights. You do the same things every day, and you don't expect these things to happen. You don't expect to, have the opportunity to jump in and save someone, and so it was awesome that he was able to do that. And after the situation, he spoke with his managers, and everyone was like, you did the right thing.
Over the years, we've seen this type of heroics from JTA drivers over and over and over again. I mean, what do you think it is about these guys and women that makes them have that sort of servant attitude of, I'm going to make sure that everybody on my bus is okay?
It's expecting the unexpected and being ready to deal with it whenever.
Yeah. That's true.
When you approach your position as more than a job, which I believe a lot of these drivers certainly do, I think the investment that you have in the community, I believe these drivers, I'm not just driving people around, I'm truly a community servant. I am doing the community a great service by providing this option for them to get to work, to school, to a family member's home. And I think the interactions that a lot of them take the time to have with riders. Certainly you could sit up there and do your job and not really interact with anyone, but I think so many of the drivers take that extra step to make those personal connections with riders, and in that way, when times of distress come, you can't help but to react, because you are truly emotionally invested, not only in the riders on your bus, but the community that you serve as a whole.
So my guess, Corell, is that they see a lot of the same people over and over again.
They do. They see a lot of the same people, and when people see them, it's like, oh, that's my friend. And so when you look out for your family, when you look out for your community, when you look out for someone else, it's like, it's just what I'm supposed to do. It's not, oh, should I do? It's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to help.
Well, it's nice to see that these drivers not only had that feeling, but had the presence of mind to do what they did. Because you can certainly see in a situation like this where it would be very easy to freak out.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because somebody's dying on your bus or somebody's about to get hit by a train. I mean, you could see where some people would just freeze, even if they wanted to do the right thing.
I was just going to say, add, and I'm sure that you guys agree, it really is a privilege to be able to tell these stories and to meet these people that we're talking about and that we just showed you.
Well, every year we talk about another person that's gotten an award for something. I mean, I know these things are things that happen all the time. They literally happen all the time.
Yeah.
And people are recognized as they should be for them. But I just hope all of you at home appreciate really just how invested these folks are. And I think as more people, as we've seen, since we've increased our routes and since we've had more frequent routes and the service has become available to more people and more people start to use it, I think people start to get a different perception, right?
Yes,
of what it is to take public transportation. Because I think probably the great majority of people who've never taken public transportation probably have a view of it that, this may be a hassle or but what this shows is that this truly is a loving family situation. And I so appreciate the fact that you all have told us these stories. I think they're fantastic. And of course, guys, we're going to hear a lot more of these as we continue on with our countdown, our 100th episode. How about that? So that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much to Terry Casey, Stacey Ellison, and Corell Danzy for joining me here in the studio. And we so appreciate very much that you were telling us these stories.